Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, and today we are back with another brand new Safari LTD release, and in fact, this is the final release for 2023 from Safari LTD. We have the Therizinosaurus. And I do want to give a huge shout out and a thank you to Safari LTD for sending this over to me a little bit early for me to take a look at it with you guys. I also want to give a shout out and a thank you to them for supplying me with a discount code. So if you are interested in picking this up once it is officially in stock, or any of the other releases that they've put out this year, along with anything else they have on the website, make sure you use the code ANDY at checkout to save 15% off of your purchase, again, of any Safari LTD products you might be interested in. So a nice way to get some awesome figures with a little bit of saved money. And you can see that this figure looks absolutely fantastic. Like, clearly Safari LTD set out to save the best for last for this year, because I would say without question that's exactly what we have here with this Therizinosaurus. The sculpt looks gorgeous. The coloration also looks really nice, very natural as a whole. So I'm pretty hyped to get a closer look at it with you guys. So as always, let's jump straight to it. So starting up here at the head sculpt of our Therizinosaurus, you can see the fine detailing looks really good. We've got some skin texture here for the face of the dinosaur. We also have a white coloration and then a blue that's been kind of dry brushed over, sort of, maybe even applied in kind of like a wash-like fashion. Yeah, actually I think it might be more of a wash than a dry brushing, and you can see how it allows the white to still sort of pop through the blues, which I think looks really nice. You can also see almost like a mustard sort of a coloration, or like a variation of a brown here for the beak of the dinosaur. The nostrils are sculpted out. They're also highlighted with an alternate tone of color, and you can see the mouth is sculpted out as well, also again highlighted with a darker tone. So overall, in my opinion, the head looks great, and I love the coloration they've applied to it. You can also see the eyes are painted really nicely. We have like an orangish tone and then a black pupil. There's a nice gloss coat for the eyes as well. They look as genuinely lifelike as it gets, especially right here on this side. You can see that eye looks great. As you lead back into the neck of the Therizinosaurus, we have a very bright white that shows up. You can see we also begin to pick up the feathering of the dinosaur. I can also make out the ear right there as you move back into the feathers. And you can see the feathers start out kind of like sticking up there in the back of the neck, looking pretty cool. But then as you lead down, they become more of like that scruffy style of feathering, very emu-like. As far as the way it appears on the figure, you can see the throat here running down, of course, on the underside of the neck. And then as you lead down past our very long neck for our Therizinosaurus, we transition to a very dark brown for the body. Now, what's cool about this, and it's something that I didn't notice on the original promotional images, so I feel like they may have altered the figure a little bit from the prototype to the actual release, is we actually have like this other coloration applied to it. It's like a very, almost like a metallic kind of satin shine style paint that's been applied, and it really makes the feathers shine, and it also kind of gives it that sort of iridescence type of a look. And that's not something personally I would have expected on a Therizinosaurus, but thinking about it, that would actually be really neat to see, and that actually does look really good on the figure itself. So I have to give some props to Safari LTD for doing that. As you lead up here, you can kind of make out the shoulder blade. You can also see as you move down the course of the arm, we've got a nice big arm for our dinosaur, the elbow sculpted out back there. You lead down into the hand, and of course we've got the finger sculpted, as well as the nails. The nails are nice and large, exactly as you would expect them to be, and I really like the paintwork for the nails. You can see they start out with this very nice variation of a darker brown, and super smoothly transition to a lighter tone as you lead out. I think that just looks spectacular right there. Definitely one of the areas I'm the biggest fan of, I think, when it comes to this figure. As you move up through the course of the arm, of course, you can also see we have that same style of kind of emu-like feathering through the course of the body. In fact, we see it for almost the entire rest of the body of the dinosaur, except for the underside, the legs, and the tail feathers. But you can see, of course, a little bit of girth to the stomach here of our Therizinosaurus, looking nice and big and bulky. You can kind of make out the spinal column moving down along the back of the dinosaur. The hip bone is protruding there through the feathers. You can see it. You can also see, again, different layers of feathering as you move down through the course of the thigh. It looks very nice as far as the way that the feathers feathers are sculpted. And then as we lead down into the legs, you can see we transition back to a skin texture. We have a really nice, very vibrant scale appearance to the legs as you move down. You can also see on top of transitioning to a grayish tone, we do have variations of browns showing up in the legs. And then as you move down into the foot sculpt looks really nice. We've got like some scoots moving down through the course of the toes, and the nails are painted really nicely. Again, kind of similar to what we see in the hands, where we have that darker brown and it transitions out to lighter tones. I'm a big fan of the way that they've painted the nails on this Therizinosaurus. And then as you move out through the length of the tail, of course, you've got a fairly short tail for the dinosaur, as you would expect. As we turn it over here and look at it from up above, you can really see that shine that I was talking about. It's very impressive on the figure. But then you lead down here and you've got a nice little display of plumage out here for the tail feathers. Not really any kind of like crazy intricate designs or anything going on. It just follows along with the same coloration that we see for the rest of the body, but it is a nice little area again of tail feathers as you lead out. And if you look at the underside, we've got a brown that sort of highlights that area of feathering on the dinosaur, but then we have this light gray on the underside. And within the light gray, it seems as though we have like a brownish wash, so it kind of gives you a nice healthy mixture of both the browns and grays, and also helps to highlight that scale detail. You can see a cloaca is present for the dinosaur here, and as you move up again, you can see that the scale detail continues to look really nice as you lead up into the chest. And again, we return to the feathering. You can see that the brown here is a little bit of a lighter shade of brown compared to what you see over here, so even more variation of color to the figure. Once you start back up here on the head, on the opposing side, you can see the dinosaur has its head turned toward its right. You can even see the twist from up above there in the neck. And then as you lead down again, you can see that the arm on this side is just slightly held up a little higher compared to what we see on the other one. It's also bent a lot more, which you can see the bend in the elbow right there. The hand again looks really good. The fingers, as well as the nails, also look quite nice. Again, we have that very appealing looking paintwork there for the nails. I really love that. And then again, you lead back, and as you move down through the course of the body, the remainder of the body is not going to look too different on this side compared to the other side. The legs are almost in the same position. Obviously, the tail is just leading down pretty straightforward, no turns or anything to that area, so you're not going to see much of a difference as far as that goes. But definitely a very nice figure, and as I said, the best, in my opinion, from Safari LTD for their 2023 year. Another nice thing about the figure is because it has the tail down on the ground, as you can see, it stands beautifully, no issues at all as far as stability, and there certainly shouldn't be any issues in the future because, you know, you've got the feet end of the tail planted, so it does stand really nicely. As far as a size goes, for a length from the tail to the snout, you're looking at just under 9 inches or about 22.5 centimeters, and then for a height, I'd say a little over 6 3/4 inches, heading towards 7 inches, but not quite there, or a hair under 17.5 centimeters. Yeah, a little over 17 centimeters, maybe not quite 17.5. For a size comparison, I absolutely had to bring in this figure because this is the older version of the Therizinosaurus from Safari LTD. Now, when I say older, this one was released quite a ways back, so 1993. There is also a Great Dinos version of the Therizinosaurus out, which is a lot better as far as, like, you know, more up to date, but it's also a very large figure, like way different in size compared to these figures. But you can see how the perception of this dinosaur has changed over time, because the old one looks super cool, but you can very clearly see it's outdated compared to what we now see Therizinosaurus looking at, and it's also just fun to see the figures next to each other. Then when it comes to some comparisons with the other 2023 releases from Safari LTD, we have the Utah Raptor here stepping in next to our Therizinosaurus, as well as the figure that potentially was my favorite previously. We've got the Stegosaurus here next to the Therizinosaurus as well. Then a figure that I was so hyped to see returning to the Safari LTD line, the Kentrosaurus, one that absolutely needed to come back and have a longer reign on the active list from Safari LTD. We also have the Stemnosuchus, again another figure that had come out for this year, another really exciting one because it's always great to see species like that enter any collection, as well as another figure that is very high up on my list of favorites for this year from Safari LTD, we have the Majungasaurus, which looks absolutely phenomenal here next to our Therizinosaurus. And then the final comparison that I'm going to do here, we have the Dinosaur from Safari LTD that I just wanted to bring in here next to our Therizinosaurus to give you one more idea of a size. So this brand new 2023 Safari LTD Therizinosaurus is absolutely fantastic and unquestionably one of my favorite figures now in my collection of this species. I think they absolutely knocked this one out of the park, whether it's the sculpt, the paint scheme, the paint application, it's all as top of the line as it gets. The sculpt is really nicely done, just basically showing the Therizinosaurus standing there, kind of in my opinion looking like it's maybe feeding from a tree or something along those lines. It really has that look, especially with the kind of positioning of the dinosaur sort of trying to stand up tall, and although the fingernails and everything, the claws are kind of extended, sort of looking like maybe it's trying to fend off a predator or something. In my opinion, that's not really the feeling I'm getting, especially with the positioning of the arms. I feel like it is just feeding, and I really like that. Again, most often when you get Therizinosaurus figures, they usually give you the pose of like it defending itself, but I really like this pose. I think it's very nice and natural and kind of a little bit of a different breath of fresh air compared to many others. We also have some really nice paint apps throughout. I love the coloration they've chosen for it. They allow a nice element of flashiness to it while still having some nice natural tones of color overall, especially with that blue face, and the way that they've applied the paint with the blue face looks really cool. Again, giving it that kind of wash type effect where the white still sort of creeps through. Definitely a big fan of the way that they've painted that, and the eyes look really good on the figure. And then as you move down, again, you almost have like a bald eagle sort of look for the body after that point, with the white on the upper part and then the darker tones for the body. Again, really nice natural overall, and they've done a very good job of applying the paint with smooth transitions, and again giving that kind of iridescence look was a really nice touch. And of course, the paintwork of the claws is one of my favorite areas of this figure. Just really love the way that they did that. So as a whole, this is a great way to end the year from Safari LTD, kind of going out with a bang with this awesome release again of the Therizinosaurus, and now I cannot wait to see what they're going to be producing for next year. So if you are interested in this will be available on the Safari LTD website very soon to purchase. Again, I was lucky enough to get this a little bit early from them so that I could get a review up for you guys, so a massive thank you again goes out to Safari LTD for that. So if you are going to pick this up, don't forget you can use the code Andy at checkout, save yourself 15% off once this is in stock, and of course I will include links in the description to the Safari LTD website where you can go head on over there now and browse around, see what you can find, and of course, like, comment, and subscribe before you go doing that, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.